Again, YouTube, this is Dr. Kendo, and I'm back with Scribblenauts Unlimited. This is the Object Editor commentaries where I create your favorite characters in the Scribblenauts Unlimited Object Editor. I create gaming, movie, television, nerd and geek culture items sometimes, always based off of whatever is the most popular or most requested vote by you guys, the viewers and the subscribers. We're going to start off with Maxwell as the source object for one of today's many items. This is a special episode that I've been working on over time. I don't have a lot of free time in my life. You know, I'm married, I work, I have 2 dogs, I care for my dad, I do the music and the voice acting thing, and then I run this channel in about 80 different ways. You know, I have to wear 20 different hats or something to do all the different things that I do. And so anyway, my free time is so limited, but in the small amount of free time that I've had, I decided to give it back to you and create something extra here, because at the time that this is really planned for upload, I am out of town. So I would normally not have the allotted time to work on a Scribblenauts episode, and instead of giving you nothing for this Sunday upload, I upload every Sunday. So instead of doing nothing, I have done this over time. Anyway, let's get to it. It's the Plants vs. Zombies Night Plants. This comes from the first PvZ game, but anyway, we started off with Maxwell as the source object because it basically is for the idle animation of his torso kind of moving up and down. That's how I feel that most of the mushrooms in the game sort of look, and so that's why I picked that source object. Please notice, though, that if you pick Maxwell as the source object, sometimes it'll do a little emotion emoticon thing, the little talk bubble above their heads, and it'll have the sort of devilly horn Scribblenauts character or whatever, but glue was the main, I guess, stem or body part of the mushroom here for this puff shroom. We had ovals for the black parts of the eyes, a dot and a pimple for the glimmer or glisten in the eyes, 29-page library arms, the straight one that's on the top right corner of the 20th page, painted black. That's going to be sort of for the mouth, I guess you could say, leading up to the dot, with a black dot inside of that dot to be the actual lips or mouth part. A hemisphere with spheres and a circle for the little dots up on top of the mushroom head, the cap. But anyway, we are now into the scripting already. This is moving quite quickly, but there are plenty of things to create for today's episode. So that's why I've got to move very fast. Whenever I'm doing scripting or editing the properties of an item, I like to read background information or fun facts about whatever we're creating in these episodes, but I have done the Plants vs. Zombies Day Plants for PvZ 1. That was episode 115, so I've sort of read the Plants vs. Zombies background information, so we'll just read about the nighttime. Of course, the night area is the second set of levels in adventure mode, of course taking place at nighttime. This means that any of the mushroom plants, like the ones that we're creating in this episode today, will stay awake, but also your supply of sun does not regularly fall from the sky. For the purposes of today's creations, we'll just be covering the night plants from the second stages and not the foggy night levels that appear later on in the adventure mode. But you've just seen that we created the puff shroom here in Scribblenauts Unlimited, and in Plants vs. Zombies, I consider it an important part of any night level because despite its short range, it doesn't cost any sun to place it down. And they apparently deal as much damage as pea shooters. Anyway, I hope that everybody enjoys the array of night plants that I'll be showing off in this episode, and it was really creating the Plants vs. Zombies Day Plants back in episode 115 that got me into playing Plants vs. Zombies myself. It's a game that I love and I'm addicted to, and I've always enjoyed tower defense kinds of games, so PvZ is just such a fun, lighthearted, unique game that I, again, am kind of addicted to it these days. But we've got our puff shroom out here fighting a zombie, and it looks like everything is sort of scripted right, although I have it basically to where, you know, whenever he sees zombies, it's actually zombies are not able to be put into the properties editor, so you have to do a general category. So I did monsters. You could also do Halloween, because that's what we'll do for some of these other categories with some of our other plants here. But we started off with Maxwell again for our other mushroom creation that's coming up next. That would be this. It's the sun shroom. So I've got a marshmallow right there on the torso, and the cap is of course a hemisphere again, but then we've got a bunch of dots that we're creating for the little spots and things that are on the cap, as well as ovals. So it's just a combination of dots and ovals. You can see that the dots sort of have a shading within them, with the ovals just sort of being a blank slate solid color. So we're definitely going to get involved in some scripting here a little bit later on, but I'm going to use this top right corner 29-page library arm. Again, it's on the 20th page, painted all black. This is going to be for the eyes. We're going to put pimples down in there for the little glimmer, and then we'll use an eyebrow after that for the mouth. And so here we go. We're already in the properties editor. I'm going to make it just have a little bit of health, and of course objects react to it as a mushroom. You can do the source object, whatever you feel like. I just did a coin for fun, but anyway, this is where we want to include basically what the sun shroom does. So I'm going to make it a container for one. It'll contain a starlight within it. You can't actually put an adjective on whatever you're doing in the container, but that's okay. So then in the scripting, we'll go ahead and do when this object is created, then it will, and we'll go in here and find what I'm looking for. It'll be add an adjective. This is basically going to represent how sun shrooms grow over time. And so we've got it to where whenever it's created, it will add an adjective of small, and then it'll wait a set amount of time. We'll give it 180 frames, which is the maximum amount of frames that it can wait for one scripting box right here. And then we'll have it remove the adjective of small. So it's actually going to become normal size after that. So that'll give it sort of the effect of growing over time. So then another script, of course, is when this object is created, then we'll have it go ahead and wait a set amount of time, and it will create an object. And so this is where we're going to have it create sun, quote unquote, but it's going to be a starite in this game. You don't have to do yellow starite. That's something you can do. I think actually it might be better without the yellow because it'll be more of a neonish yellow if you don't do yellow as the adjective. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and have it wait 79 frames before creating that starite, and that looks like it's okay for our sun shroom here. So we'll move on to the next one, which is going to be the fume shroom. The fume shroom, once again, we're starting off with Maxwell as the source object. Again, keep in mind what I said before about it showing off a little emoticon thing. Mozzarella is going to be sort of for the base stem or whatever for the mushroom, and lots of other things are involved here. It's a pretty, I like how this turned out, but we've got a 29-page library, bottom middle arm this time in the 20th page of that 29-page library, and those are going to be on either side as well as in the middle for the mouth. So you can see that down there in the bottom right corner. Those all comprise the mouth. I think I used about 4 total. A rat tail is going to be for the eyebrows. A dragon egg is going to be for the cap, the top of the mushroom right here, painted with a purple coloration, and then also the cow-ish pattern. And we've got a drain for the top part on the cap where it shoots out all the little bubbles and stuff in Plants vs. Zombies. So the drain is there with the middle of it painted solid black. Hopefully everything else is self-explanatory. Its weapon is going to be a bubble, and so it'll shoot out a bubble, and we're just doing all the other scripting, and this is something that I do almost every object is whenever they lose or gain health, I have them become brave. And so we do want our fume shroom here to not shy away from a fight. And so in the behavior scripting, we have it set for a behavior to be destroy, and what it destroys is Halloween themed objects, or you can do monsters, of course. Just basically you want it to be zombies. Dots were for the eyes on that last one. But again, we're moving along quickly here. We've got a grave buster showing off right now. Bark is going to be the source object for it, as well as sort of this middle main piece. You can see that I've just taken away the bark, and it's the bark that's painted black or whatever, painted a blackish color and turned upside down. But you can also see the letter I is there amidst the bark sort of for some lines, but right now I've just shown off the color pattern as I painted those light gray and then took them away. Those are tofu that are on the end right there. And sort of in the middle, but on the ends on either side, you can see fin, an organic fin. So there is a fin there on either side, sort of like cheeks, almost like cheekbones, I guess. We've got a goldfish bottom fin. That's going to be for the eyes. We've got a lot of stuff up top, but there's also eyebrows above the eyes. Hopefully you noticed that. And hopefully you can see sort of the pattern, I guess, from the color pattern library that I've colored it with. And so then let's see what's up on the top. We've got, as I said, it was many things. One of them is this, a caltrop, and the caltrop is just on the end right there. Painted green, of course, with that dark green color painted, moved all the way to the back. And you can see hopefully now we are typing in shambler, and you can just take that arm, the back arm that's up at the top of the shambler. That'll sort of be in the middle for all those vines and stuff up on the grave buster's head. And then the last little piece up on the right side, up at the top, is a thorn. And so you can do really whatever piece you want to use, you know, if you don't want to use all 3 of those, or if you just want to use some of them, or pick and choose your own things, of course. I'm just showing you examples of what you can do. Top middle piece of the scorpion's tail is for all those little, I guess, buds or leaf pieces on top of the grave buster. And so here I'll show you where the goldfish fin was. There it was at the bottom. That's painted with that fluorescent-y greenish color. And as I mentioned, eyebrows are in there, of course. We'll just make some last-minute sizing adjustments, and I think it's all good. So in the scripting, this will be important as well. Notice that I did not apply gravity to it, so this means that we'll be able to stick it sort of anywhere. Like when I created my GLaDOS or like Mangle, those types of creations. We just have it set to hover, so it doesn't walk or any of that stuff. And then I have it under the behavior tab for the scripting. It says eat, and that would be Halloween. Again, that's just a general category. You can't do zombies. So anyway, we've got it right here, the Gravebuster. That's one of my favorite ones, definitely. So let's actually see it before we go on to create some other things. We'll see how it works in action here. So Gravebuster, we'll put that on the map, and then I'm going to type in a grave as we're here on this level, spooky level. And then I put the Gravebuster over it, and yes, it ate it. So there we go. That is so awesome. Let's see these Scribblenauts Unlimited Miiverse users who are just despicable to me. See them knock these items. Anyway, moving on. We're here in the scripting for our next object in this series. What do you think it could be? Well, we're scripting something for when this object moves near an object, and we're going to filter that to be Halloween, of course, once again, for the zombies. And we're going to have it move pretty close, so a distance of only 1. And when that happens, it's going to add an adjective to the trigger target of purple and hypnotized. Yes, that's because we're creating the Hypno Shroom. So the Hypno Shroom basically started off with a boy as the source object. You could use a man or whatever, just any sort of the humanoids. And for the cap, the top of the mushroom, it's a mola. Just take the body. You can also type in sunfish to get the same thing. 29-page library arm from the 3rd page, that sort of like fat one. It has a fat base, I guess, to it. That right there, you can see what it looks like. That's on the body part. We actually did the cap for the first time. That's going to be on the head grid of our source object. All the other ones I did as the torso. Everything was on the torso grid. We have a Swiss roll for the eyes. Pretty interesting, right? Because it's got that little twirly-eyed thing design in it. A pimple will be for the main part of the mouth. Right here, you can see me placing it sort of close to where that was. And then a 29-page library arm shape, the center bottom one on the 20th page. That's the one that I did for that black sort of end of its mouth. And so I like that design. We may have to look into the scripting a little bit more, and this is going to be an interesting script because I want to also make them basically turn around and eat the zombies, so we need to sort of, I guess, include that. And instead of purple, I'm going to go with fuchsia. They really turn more of a fuchsia color, so hopefully that will represent them a little bit more. But also you can see that I set it to wait a set time. That would be 12 frames. And then it will destroy an object, which is itself. So make sure that your Hypno Shroom will destroy itself. But then we've got basically, once it moves near the zombie, it's going to add the adjectives of fuchsia, hypnotized, confused, and then cannibal. So that will make it become a cannibal and hopefully eat its own kind, which is the zombies, of course. Again, this is all adjectives that are placed onto the trigger target. So let's see. Okay, so that looks good. We just placed a zombie onto the map with our Hypno Shroom. It looks like it's become fuchsia and all that stuff. And so now we'll place another zombie next to it. And yes, it's eating it. This is perfect. Oh, crap. I got too close and now I'm a zombie. But anyway, that's so awesome. I mean, it worked out, I think, exactly as we wanted it to. So that is great. Hypno Shroom is effective. So here you can start off with Maxwell as the source object, or you can do really any humanoid type thing. Most of them will work out for you. Gelatin is going to be for the main part of the body or whatever for our ice shroom, which is what we're creating now. The main middle part, I guess. Shambler arm, the top back arm. Again, that's going to be for the mouth, pointing in either which direction. So there's actually 2 shambler arms. A goldfish bottom fin is going to be for the white parts of the eyes, and then a pearl is going to be for the coloration, I guess, within the eyes. It's that dark blue colored eye. And you can see down at the bottom of the gelatin, we have slush. You could probably type in several things to get that relate to snow, but I just liked how the slush looked. That's lining all throughout the bottom. But on the top, we have crystal. Crystal. So there's a ton of crystals. There's actually 4 sort of here in the front, and then we've also got a whole bunch of them in the back. So basically just create it how you want your formation of the crystals to appear. I've just done lead now, L-E-A-D. The lead is going to sort of be for some more crystallization down at the bottom near all this slush. And so we'll put it on either side. So 1 to the right, 1 to the left. Actually 2 will be on our right side to its left. Objects react to it as a mushroom. It can have the audio of whatever you want. I'm doing like an icicle. You could do it like as any sort of freezing thing, maybe an ice cube, whatever you want to do. Most of those don't have sound. In the scripting, of course, this will be important. Whenever it moves near an object with a distance of 2 this time, we're going to have it go ahead and filter out to just be, here's what happened when you type in zombie. It creates a whole list of, different themed items you can choose from. So that's why I've been doing Halloween this whole time. And so then we're going to have it go ahead and add an adjective. We're going to want the adjective to apply to the trigger target, which will be, of course, our zombies. And we're going to make the adjective be frozen and blue as the adjectives right there. So then we're going to also need to destroy itself, because once the ice shroom in Plants vs. Zombies freezes the zombies, it goes away, so we want to reflect that, of course. So here's our zombie we're placing on the map with our ice shroom. It's walking the wrong way. There we go. It's now close enough to where, boom, it will freeze the zombie. So it looks like that's all working well. If you want to see that again, because that went really fast, so here we go. And it has frozen. You might even want to make the distance be 3, because that distance of 2 was still kind of close to our ice shroom. But anyway, that's up to you. So we're now on to our second to last object. A cobra is going to be for the eyes, and the cobra's back tail piece is what we specifically have used. A golem is what we've done for the main body, I guess, of the Doom Shroom here, because that is what we are creating right now, the Doom Shroom. And I've taken a kraken, just take kind of this, like, next to the points on the end of its tentacles, the thing that comes right before the pointy tentacle end pieces. That's what you want, these little curved kraken pieces. And then an animal horn for the other one. These are basically underneath the eyes. It sort of creates some depth and dimension to the eyes. And I've taken an eyebrow to be for the mouth, of course, painted red. As I mentioned, a golem, take the thigh piece. That golem thigh piece will be for the body part or stem of the shroom. And so here you can see my logistical sizing and everything like that. And of course, color it with whatever patterns you want. I've taken a yarmulke as the top cap part of the Doom Shroom. You could go back to the hemisphere. You could do like a road hump and things like that. But I personally think that the yarmulke kind of fits it the best. So again, this is all open to your interpretation in your own game, but this is how I chose to create it. So please don't knock anybody who wants to create stuff in this game. Objects react to it as a mushroom. It'll have the source audio of a nuke. Now, you could make the explosion of it be nuclear. I'm not sure if I want to do that. I mean, the thing about nuclear explosions in Scribblenauts Unlimited is it actually turns the entire screen white for a little bit of time. I guess about 2 seconds. It'll be like that. And so even if you type in undead instead of zombies, it'll still give a general list of categories whenever you're in behavior or scriptings and stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and set the explosion to large to show you what that looks like, and then we'll do another one later on that does nuclear. But first I actually want to make it gain an adjective before it explodes. So move near an object, distance of 1, it'll add an adjective which is big and red to itself, and then it will explode. A large explosion. And so we will also actually add one last thing to it that I almost neglected to mention. It will create an object and it'll create a crater, because obviously one thing about the Doom Shroom is that you then can't build in place of it, in Plants vs. Zombies. Whenever it explodes like that, you have to wait for that crater to sort of stop being there. But here we go, there's a zombie. There's showing off a large explosion. Again, it doesn't seem super appropriate to be large, but then at the same time, I feel like doing a nuclear explosion, which is what we're about to see, starts off okay because it has that sort of mushroom cloud, explosion to it, but then you're gonna see what happens. So here, it's got this huge explosion, which I like, but this is the part that I don't necessarily care for, is that it'll last on screen for a really long time, but then it turns everything white like this. And then if I didn't have the immortal adjective on my character, I would then also be having gamma radiation all up on my avatar. So this is why I personally, I just stuck with a large explosion instead. But anyway, we started off with the turtle as the source object for our last creation. This is the Scaredy Shroom. A twig is going to be for the main part of the body. A hammerhead shark actually taking this front fin right here. This is going to be for the leafy eyebrows that are on the Scaredy Shroom. This was an interesting character to create, like how were we going to make it be all scared and hide in its little underneath its cap. A blobfish is actually what we used for that cap shape on top of its head. And so you can see sort of, I'm actually going to put a video within the video how I did sort of the logistics for this. I made the turtle's body really small so that our twig would go over the turtle body down there. We removed all the legs of the turtle, of course, and you can see there the tail end of the blobfish is what I've taken in that big video. But if you'll notice simultaneously, the turtle right now, we took its neck, took its head off, but put the cap part on the head, and the neck was also where the twig was. So here's what happens. It's not going to look exactly like the game. I think that would be pretty hard to accomplish, actually. But here is an angry zombie. We made it angry just so it'll come towards this and scare it. But there you go. You saw that it sort of retreated down like that right there. So it gets kind of scared and I guess puts its head towards the ground. That's because the turtle puts its head inside of its shell in this game, of course, like a scared turtle might do. But that's what we did. Because the Scaredy Shroom in Plants vs. Zombies, it hides whenever it gets near the enemies. Whenever the enemies get near near it, I should say. But there they all are. This is awesome. Look at all of our night plants. Now, these are something that I have teased a few of them, I should say, in the live streams. You know, I do several live streams of Plants vs. Zombies, but I will at least be live streaming a game. As long as I stick to the schedule, I will be doing it every Monday at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. And the last thing that I want to do is really create more confusion, but for this particular Monday coming up, I will not be doing a stream. So that's Monday, the 23rd of November. There are several reasons for it, but some of them are Thanksgiving stuff going on that week, as well as I need to take the opportunity to get further along in Scribble Ventures, which I'm sure you guys would be happy for, and do some other work. But thank you to the supportive members of Kendopolis. You're all amazing. Whether I receive hate or whether I don't, just know that you guys are 90% of the comments out there, you supportive ones. Well, really 90% of the comments are requests, but other than requesting comments, it's a much larger portion of love, so I'm a very fortunate YouTuber in that respect. So Kendopolis, where we all stand as one, I will catch you on the next vid, and thanks for viewing.
Down the road of twists and turns, always anxious to see what's within. We can look ahead to the point of no return, to the rest of our lives as the spectacle begins. Been down the road of twists and turns, always anxious to see what's within. We can look ahead to the point of